Come on in, pull up a chair and take a load off because today I am going to unbox and take a first look at ugh, the Dungeons and Dragons Shadow of the Dragon Queen Deluxe Edition from Wizards of the Coast. And we are going to crack this baby open right after this. Howdy, 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 gang. Welcome to a special Friday stream here at the Gaming Gang. I was going to say Gaming Gang Dispatch, but it's really not an episode of the Dispatch. It's a standalone stream. But I am coming to you once again from the Duct Tape Studios. So welcome aboard. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host here at the Gaming Gang channel. So tonight, taking a first look at the upcoming Dungeons and Dragons Dragonlance Shadow of the Dragon Queen Deluxe Edition. It is a big box that is loaded with goodies, and we are going to be diving in just a few moments. Of course, this is from Wizards of the Coast. But stay tuned, because I'm going to let you know how you'll be able to get a copy of the adventure book from me. But you got to stay tuned, keep an eye peeled. So this is a Friday stream. I don't usually stream on Friday nights. I usually stream the Gaming Gang Dispatch Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday evenings here on YouTube at 7 p.m. Central. But I know a lot of people are really excited about the Dragonlance releases from Wizards of the Coast. And my review copies arrived just a few hours ago. So I thought, you know what? Rather than just do a standalone video where I'm just shooting it, doing my thing, I thought, why not do a special Friday live stream? Maybe a few of our regulars will pop in. I don't know. Might be awfully quiet. It's a Friday night. I don't expect a lot of people be sitting around and saying, "Oh, Jeff's got a stream tonight." But keep in mind, this is a live stream, so that means there is chat available. It's not on screen. It's one of the ways I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay. And I will also mention you must be a subscriber to the channel for at least 48 hours before you can take part in chat. Yes, yet another way that I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay. But if you want to say howdy, or maybe you got a question, a comment, maybe you want me to take a closer look at something from this deluxe edition, be it the board game or the adventure book, chime in, let me know. Surprisingly enough, we actually do have some folks popping into chat. So we've got some of our regulars here. Kathy Evans, Stray Kismet, Kabuki Kid is with us, as is the Happy Wargamer. So welcome, everybody. So as I mentioned, tonight, I am going to unbox and take a first look at the Dungeons and Dragons Shadow of the Dragon Queen, if I can get this thing to change. Ding! It is the deluxe edition bundle from Wizards of the Coast. It does include the adventure book, which is what you're taking a look at right this moment. And should also point out that there are some separate items in this as well. So the deluxe edition carries an MSRP of $139.95. The adventure book carries an MSRP of $49.95. Both of those are slated for release on December 6th. And of course, there is also the Warriors of Krynn board game, which is part of this package. That is going to be available separately in March of next year. It's supposed to be carrying an MSRP of $79.95. So if you want to get your hands on it Before then, you have to get the deluxe edition. Should also mention that if you are still going to pre order, which you can pre order both the deluxe edition as well as the adventure book. It will give you early access to the D&D Beyond release on November 22nd. So if you want to get an early jump, you can do that as well. All right. All of that said, let's swing on over to the other camera because here I've got the Shadow of the Dragon Queen Deluxe Edition. This is a big box. This is a hefty box. I would take a stab. This box is probably clocking in at around, oh, I'd say about 10 pounds or so. So it does have some serious heft to it. So let's flip this on over, just kind of give you an idea of what's in this. So we've got the Shadow of the Dragon Queen adventure. Once again, if you just tuned in, keep watching because I am going to share with you how you can win a copy of the adventure book from me. That's right. So, and it's not going to be at the end of the video. So no cheating. It's just jumping ahead to the end of the video, which this is right now, it's a live stream, so you can't do that anyway. So we get the adventure book, we get a DM's screen, and we also have the Warriors of Krynn board game, which is what comes in this box. And I see it's got a little zip. I always call these like a Ziploc, but they're not Ziploc. It's just like a zipper opening on the box. For some strange reason, Wizards of the Coast, as of late, have been kind of going out of their way to make sure that you have to destroy the box, get things open. But does this have now? It doesn't. It was just a. It's like, does that have a lip for it to reclose? So there's our Dungeon Master screen. So we're going to take a look at all of this tonight. Here is the deluxe edition of the Shadow of the Dragon Queen adventure book. It has a foil cover and back as well. Well, looks like there's a little indentation along the back, but to be honest with you, I'm used to seeing that kind of stuff because a lot of times reviewer copies have little dings and dents and things like that, and that's fine. So we've got that. So we're going to take a look at those in a few moments. But first off, we're going to dive on into the board game. So here we have Warriors of Krynn. Let me get this stuff out of the way here. Mr. Eddie T and Sarah D are hanging out with us. Good to see you both. All right. So what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to zoom in a little bit so that we get a little better look. There we go. So this game is designed by Rob Davio and Stephen Baker. Take a look at the back here. War grips the world of Krynn. The army of the evil Dragon Queen marches across the land, leaving destruction in its wake. An alliance of desperate defenders stands against the relentless march of the ruinous dragon army. On the battlefield and beyond, it's up to a small band of adventurers to turn the tide of battle and save Krynn. So, my understanding with this new Dragonlance release, as far as the adventure, it's essentially war comes to Dungeons and Dragons. It's supposed to be massive, epic battles that are going to be taking place. And I thought you can kind of incorporate Warriors of Krynn into your adventure to kind of cover the sort of the mass battles that are out there. Defy the Dragon Queen. Dragonlance Warriors of Krynn is a cooperative game of adventure and strategy where you play heroes battling against the terrifying dragon army. As conflict rages around you, maneuver between battlefields and adventure locations to tip the scales of war. Face sinister dragon army commanders and their forces in battles ranging from skirmishes to epic sieges. Explore the surrounding lands to find treasure, allies, and other advantages. Shape the story of the war through 12 connected campaign scenarios and forge a legend of your own. The standalone board game includes rules for integrating characters from the Dungeons and Dragons companion adventure. Oh, they're right there. I was just talking about that. Dragonlance Shadow of the Dragon Queen, sold separately. All right, crack this open. So let's see what we start off with. Got some punch boards. Like we got a few. 3 punch boards. I would say the cardstock quality is decent. It's not super thick. It's not like we see in a lot of board games. But the reality is, it's about the normal thickness that we see with Wizards of the Coast board games. So, like we've got some trackers here. We have the Flying Citadel. So these are Vile Champions. We've got that. Then we have, it looks like, marking for areas of the battlefield, maybe where you're ordering units to attack or move. And then we've got these little shaped tokens here, or tiles, I should say. We've got the Dragon Army Outpost, Rocky Ledge, Woods, as well as the Bluff, more woods, and the coast. Here we've got a trail, a village, woods, and a Dragon Army supply wagon. And then it looks like we've got other places on the flip side. So we've got an Alliance scouting party, tomb, watchtower, summoning circle, haunted woods, a witch's hut, scrying pool, Dragon Army, command tent, sacred glade, mystic path. I like the artwork. I mean, the artwork looks pretty cool. And it looks like we've got more locales. We've got the forest clearing, rocky path, old bridge ruins, pond, forest path, command tent, abandoned outpost, Alliance catapult, forest edge, beach, and an ancient monolith. Got wooded crossroads, camps, command posts, mine entrance, a bastion, Dragon Army skirmishers. Like we got some more vile champions. Goblin poisoners, a hill giant, black robed wizard, priest of Tachesis. Okay. And then we have a couple of sheets here. Now, the cardstock on these is pretty thin. So we have class cards, cards in play, cards for future use, Dragon Army commander cards, ability cards. So it looks like I'm just going to lay these out, and I'll take a guess that we're going to put various decks on here as well. And it appears that these are our heroes. I'm going to take a guess they're maybe going to have some asymmetric abilities. Yep, these are our hero boards. Kind of surprised it's not in full color. Kind of odd that we've got this sort of purple essence throughout. So Tessie Trekkie is with us in chat. What's this? Extraordinary Gaming Gang Dispatch. Yeah, it's an extra because we're taking a look at the upcoming Dungeons and Dragons release. So I've got the deluxe edition here. So we got a scenario book. We've got a rule book. Looks like we got some more tiles and miniatures. So we'll be getting into that in a moment. Take a look at the rule book. So the game is for 3 to 5 players. So it's talking about first time you play, getting ready. Let's move this out of the way so it's blocking some of the light there. Setting up your scenario. These are the battlefield components. Okay, so this is the battlefield, and then we have these locations that sort of connect. Well, that's kind of interesting. So these are the battle tiles, these here, which we're going to see in just a moment, but they look like they're all identical. So we've got our trackers, flank tokens, which we were taking a look at before. So we've got the unit cards, war engine cards. Looks like that's an additional deck there. So you can build your hero. Well, that's kind of cool. So you're going to actually have a range of abilities that you'll be able to select. So these heroes aren't necessarily going to be the same thing. Coco B is with us in chat. So we've got quite a few of our regulars hanging out. What? Dispatch Friday. It's just a special show. Do you recall on Wednesday's show, I did mention that if the new D&D release showed up at a decent time, because every once in a while I'll get things that arrive American FedEx. Yeah, they arrive by American Express and they're late. Wonder why, seeing American Express is not a shipping company. Yeah, every once in a while I'll get the FedEx deliveries pretty late, but this did arrive a few hours ago. So I thought, yeah, why not? I know a lot of people out there are kind of curious what's in the adventure as well as in the board game. So we'll take a peek here. So we're just basically getting a breakdown of the different rules. Like we got maybe some frequently asked questions regarding each of the scenarios. Looks like there's quite a few. Yeah, quite a few. Or maybe this is the list of scenarios that you play in order. Oh, there we have that. Rules are what, 20 pages maybe? 25. Got a scenario book. We're not going to look at every page in this. Want to get an idea. So as we can see, the game is for ages 12 and up. We have a training scenario here to get you up and running in the game, showing us what our objective is. So how many scenarios do we have? Kind of surprised it's pretty light on artwork in here. It's just, granted, we've got the diagrams of how we're supposed to set up the scenarios. I would have expected to see some art. It looks as if, what do we have, a dozen? Dozen scenarios? Yes, 12. And then each of the scenarios is broken down with the scenario, any special rules, other options as well. We get to break down a little bit of the heroes here and campaign conclusion. And I guess depending on how many honor cards you have, is going to determine how successful you were. Now, it also looks like there's quite a bit of replayability with this as well. So, not as if with some games that you would play through. There's no legacy element, is what I'm basically trying to say here, to the board game. So let's see what else we've got. We do have some minis. So we'll take a closer look at those. So we have different battlefield boards. So we have prairie, river crossing, city wall, farmstead, steps, abandoned fields, as well as scrublands and fields, as well as a crossroads. These dual sided, yes, they are. Mountains, canyon, foothills, crags. Now, these are nice, thick cardstock. So we've got the stunted forest where all the stuntmen live. Forest road, city gates, broken lands, as well as barrows. All right, what do we got here? We've got, okay, so these are the markers that actually go onto these boards. So we see we've got they're not necessarily they're actually a few different kinds in here, but they're red. So as you can see, we've got different shapes. So we've got these 3 different shapes, and that is these. So obviously, this is the dragon army. And then purple is going to represent the good guys and gals. We've got that. We've got dice. And it looks like these are custom dice. Let's see. I'm going to say, do I have my handy dandy hobby knife around? I do. So I can see these are cut. We got different symbols here. As you can see on this red die, these correspond with those plastic pieces. They'll take a stab. This is probably the Dragon Army die. We got a few different faces on that. And we got these black dice. We have single sword on 3 of the sides. We have cross swords on 1, as well as a dragon symbol. Almost the dragon ampersand symbol from D&D. And then we have a blank side. So those are our custom dice. What we got in here? The decks of cards. Yep. Had a feeling. Well, there's quite a bit in this. I'll say that much. Quite a bit in this game so far. And it looks like the minis are pretty decent. They're pretty small. They look like they are 28 millimeter. So we've got War Engine cards. We've got event cards. These, I think, are the various different ability cards. So with the different attributes. So strength, intelligence, constitution, dexterity, so forth. Doesn't look like we really have art on these cards, though. Just sort of like so. Oh, so it appears maybe there is a legacy aspect to it because it's telling us to start the deck here when you're getting ready to play your first game. So that is a possibility. Otherwise, maybe it's just the first few cards to give us a better feel for how to play it. We've got these decks. I'm not going to crack these open simply because I don't want to spoil any surprises here. Plus, as I mentioned, it's not as if we see any artwork on them. Although there may be artwork. These look like these are just kind of informational placeholder cards put on the top of each of the decks. And we've got these smaller decks here. And one is veteran. So do not open these cards unless you're about to begin a veteran tier scenario. And then here we've got don't open it unless you're going to begin a legendary tier scenario. We've got that. And then we have 6 miniatures. And what I am going to do here is I am going to move this box so we actually have the darker background. See if we can get a better look at the miniatures. I'm going to take the miniatures out. All right, come on. Don't make me grab the bow. Looks like these have a bit of a wash on them. Kabuki Kid points out, yes, more artwork would be appreciated. That's sort of a thing, though, that I've noticed with some Wizards of the Coast games, is that they just don't add a lot, tons of artwork in the rule books or on the cards. So, as you can see, there is a bit of a wash here. Soft plastic, though. So if you were planning on painting these, you're going to have your work cut out for you, because stiffening up soft plastic is a pain. So Kabuki Kid says, is all of the art budget for Wizards spent on magic cards or something? We got another character here. Pretty good detail. Of course, having a bit of a wash on it helps bring out that detail. Like this is a rogue, possibly. Bear pelt they're wearing. Yep, just wearing a bear rug. Huh, okay. We've got a dwarf, it appears. Like a dwarf with a warhammer. I saw this on the bottom and there was some writing, and I thought, oh, does it tell you what character it is? No, it doesn't. So those are 4 of the 6. Like we've got a magic user here, a wizard. Tessie Trekkie said, they do make an absolute mint of a margin on magic. Better margins than drugs. If you show up for Monday's show, something that I saw that was in the news about Magic the Gathering that I was going to discuss a little bit. I've had a few people send me emails asking about my thoughts, but I'm not going to do it here now. We're taking a look at the shadow of the Dragon Queen releases. There we go. So it looks like we've got an Elven Archer. And those are the 6 miniatures. So let's see if I can put these back in the correct locations they were in. I think that one's going there. This one goes down here. There we go. Let's see there. Looks about right. That looks about right. And so does that. All right. So we got 6 miniatures. We've got the various different decks of cards. We have the markers for the battlefield cards, as well as the custom dice. See if I can get those dice to lay in there. There we go. Here we have these once again. And this insert's pretty well done. It's not real thick, but actually, you know what? I take that back. It is actually fairly thick as far as plastic inserts go. So we've got the scenario book as well as the rule book. We've got the hero cards as well as the other cards that we're going to put the various decks on. And we've also got the 3 punch boards of various tiles and tokens. And that is what we find in Warriors of Krynn, which is part of, at least right now, it is part of the Dungeons and Dragons Dragonlance Shadow of the Dragon Queen Deluxe Edition. So I will have a review of Warriors of Krynn in just a bit. I probably won't have a review of it before the release date of December 6th, just because, you know me, I got tons of stuff already lined up, but I will have a review of it long before it arrives separately in March. So let's take a look at what I would assume most people are very excited to take a peek at. Kabuki Kid is asking about the Magic the Gathering item. I'm not going to discuss it right now. Tune in on Monday's show. We're taking a look at the new release here. I don't want to be like sharing negative views, not necessarily my viewpoint, but it was the news piece that I ran across. Right, we're going to zoom in a little bit more. You're going to say, wait a second, Jeff, you just, oh, okay, so zoomed in a little too far. Shirley, wait a second, you just had the deluxe book. Why are you taking out the regular book? Well, it's the same book. So not only do I have the deluxe edition of the adventure book with the foil cover, I've got the standard edition as well as the alternate art edition of the book. So what I normally do is I normally have a contest for someone to win my alternate art edition of the D&D books when they release an alternate art edition. So since I will have a deluxe edition with the foil cover, I'm actually going to give away both of these. So if you want to get into the running, it's going to be pretty easy. It's sort of my standard as far as my Dungeons and Dragons giveaways. So there's three pretty basic aspects to the contest. First of all, you got to be a subscriber to the Gaming Gang channel. Number two, you have to comment in the comment section and let me know what about Dragonlance are you looking forward to the most. Pretty simple there. And it's got to be at least a sentence. You can't just throw a word out there. I mean, you could if you'd like. But you're not going to get selected as a winner. So, and the third is, and there's really no way for me to enforce this, but please give the video a thumbs up. Easy peasy. All right. So we are going to dive on into Shadow of the Dragon Queen. I do want to mention, in case you're tuning in a little bit late, when we were taking a look at Warriors of Krynn, keep in mind, fine folks over at Wizards of the Coast were kind enough to provide me with the review copy of not only the deluxe edition, but also the standard and alternate art edition of Shadow of the Dragon Queen. But no one affiliated with the Gaming Gang has received any other sort of compensation for me to share this coverage with you. So Coco Peace talking about what kind of giving away what I'll be talking about on Monday. It's okay. I said, Coco Beast said, don't Google it. Tune in Monday and find out. Oh, trust me, it was only going to be a few minutes, but I thought it was very interesting. So, as far as the contest, you'll be able to enter up through December 4th. And then I'm going to have a review of Shadow of the Dragon Queen on December 5th. So you will have my review of this book before it officially goes on sale. And I will share the two winners. Right, two winners. One will win this book. The other will win the alternate art. All right, let's see what we got on the back here. And I got to point out, I am relatively clueless about Dragonlance except for the actual like TSR business aspects about it. I know it's weird how that works. But you got to remember, I was already off and running Call of Cthulhu when Dragonlance came out. So I had already moved on from AD&D. Enlist in the War of the Lance. Takhisis, the Dragon Queen, is returned to the world of Krynn. Across the land, her armies of fanatical draconians wage a brutal war of conquest. As the dragon armies march on the unprepared nation of Solamnia, only the defenders of the city of Kalaman stand in their way. But the dragon armies want more than just to crush their foes. An ancient evil in the Dragon Queen's service seeks a magical weapon that could dominate Krynn for all time. Dragonlance Shadow of the Dragon Queen is a tale of conflict and defiance set during the legendary War of the Lance. Create characters from Krynn, the world of the Dragonlance setting, then march them to the front lines of battle against the terrifying dragon armies. Optionally, it's talking about, hey, you can use the board game to bring the massive battles to life. I got to be honest, I don't know how I feel about that. So they're basically telling you, I mean, they are letting you know ahead of time. There really are no mass combat rules in this book that Wizards of the Coast, I guess, is expecting you to utilize Warriors of Krynn for your mass battles. I don't know. I don't know. Kabuki Kids says they actually played through all the original Dragonlance modules back in the day as they came out, had a ball with them. I know there were some folks who took issue, and I've mentioned this before. If those of you who don't watch the Dispatch, I've mentioned it before that I had always heard from some folks that one aspect of the Dragonlance adventures that kind of bothered them was that all of these things were going on in the novel, and the player characters kind of took a back seat in their own adventures to the major characters in the novel series. All right, so this is written by F. Wesley Schneider, Justice Arman, Brian Cortillo, Kelly Diggs, Dan Dillon, Ari Levitch, Renee Knight, Ben Penrisor. I'm trying to pronounce these as best I can. Mario Ortego, Aaron Roberts, and James L. Sutter. We've got loads of illustrators as well. And I am not going to read those. Do want to make sure that they get some credit, though, right over here. Just taking a peek, I can see there are a lot of names there that I am going to butcher if I make an attempt at pronouncing them. All right. So, few things. I'm going to stay picture in picture up here as we take a peek through. I always stay picture in picture, but that means we're going to cut off the upper left portion of this book as we take a peek through. Should also point out, I'm not going to share each and every page of this, but we do want to get a good feel for what's in this book, and it's an adventure. So even though I know nothing about this, this is the first time I'm cracking this open. You saw me opening up that box with the deluxe edition. I have not had a chance to peek at any of this, nor do I normally when I'm doing a first look. But there's going to be spoilers. We're going to run across spoilers somewhere along the line. So, Chen Sun Chu, God, I know I killed that. I didn't come anywhere close, is with us in chat, coming to us from Taiwan. Well, hello and welcome aboard. The war comes to Krynn. The world has ended, and it's ending again. 300 years ago, the cataclysm brought ruin to the world of Krynn. In a single day, an age of wonders came to an end. Countless innocents died, the face of the world was reshaped, and the gods themselves faded into legend. Through ages of struggle, the peoples, of Krynn survived, but the world isn't what it was. Those nations that remain linger in the shadows of their ancestors' wonders. Only slowly have they begun to push back centuries of darkness and rediscover how the world has changed. Then came the dragon armies, legions of soldiers devoted to the wicked guide, God. Jeez, what? I can't speak English tonight. I'm treating English like a second language again. Then came the dragon armies, legions of soldiers devoted to the wicked god, Tachesis, the Dragon Queen, and the world faces ruin once more. The War of the Lance has begun, and in a conflict between gods and dragons, a wounded world hangs in the balance. So, my understanding, I thought with the novels, they took place over a period of 5 ages. And I think the War of the Lance takes place in the 4th age. Right. So we get a history of the world, a bit of info on the War of the Lance. I'm going to take a stab that we are not going to get tons of background information about the setting, which is kind of par for the course, as we've seen. I will mention I'm a little surprised that Wizards of the Coast was combining background and setting information and an adventure together, because I would have thought maybe they would have released like they did with Eberron. And yes, I know there was an adventure in that, but it wasn't the majority of the book. A lot of the book had to do with the setting and options and things like that. I just kind of get a feeling that the page count is going to highly skew towards the adventure itself. So it looks like the background clocked in at about 19 pages. Some pretty nice artwork there. Kind of cool. Now we've got our character creation. So the peoples of Krynn, we've got dwarves, elves, gnomes, humans, and I guess those are our major races or cultures, what have you, in the game world. Now, if I remember correctly, and anybody out there in chat or even in the comments section later on, by all means, correct me if I'm wrong, but I had always heard that Dragonlance and Forgotten Realms were the two most popular game settings for D&D throughout all 5 editions. Of course, I grew up, it was Greyhawk and Greyhawk. And maybe a little Greyhawk if you wanted some Greyhawk on the side. And of course, if you had OD&D, then you were looking at Blackmore. So we've got our different options here, organizations, backgrounds. So we should have, I believe we've got a new magic using class that is included in this. So we have different backgrounds. Knight of Solamnia. Once again, I'm sure I'm mispronouncing all this stuff. The werewolf is with us. Welcome aboard. Shane Sangster is also here in chat as well. Welcome aboard. Let's see what else we've got. Sorcerer subclass. So lunar sorcery is a new type of magic that's included in this new release as well. So it looks like we've got the new spells. I don't know. These are features. It says on many worlds, the moon is a revered celestial body with magical properties. On Krynn, the gods of magic are associated with the world's 3 moons. On the world of Toril, the god Silun uses the light of the moon to battle darkness. On Eberron, scholars of the Draconic prophecy decipher ancient secrets from the waxing and waning of that world's 12 moons. You or someone from your lineage has been exposed to the concentrated magic of the moon or moons of your world. I thought aren't there like a trio of worlds? Well, that's pretty nice. Digging the artwork so far, gotta say. Got to say. So there's discussion of Canadian beer. Yes. I talk about it all the time. I I find myself trying to be forced to drink beers from nations where natives of that nation will not drink that beer, such as Foster's in Australia, Molson in Canada. Um, I was going to say, gosh, down in Mexico. Why am I blanking on that? I almost said Cuervo, and it's like, no, Cuervo's tequila. Sorry, Corona. All right, so here now we're into the adventure. So this is the prelude to war. So it looks like our setting information clocked in at 35 pages, which is something that we do see with a lot of the more recent D&D releases, is that we just get these little kind of like bite-sized chunks of info, which is okay depending on how useful that info is. So we got the prelude to war. Dragonlance Shadow of the Dragon Queen is a Dungeons and Dragons adventure optimized for 4 to 6 player characters. The characters are the heroes of the story. They better be. This book describes the villains the heroes must overcome and the locations they must explore to bring the adventure to its conclusion. This book also presents the continent of Ansalon on the planet of Krynn, home of the Dragonlance campaign setting. The introduction and chapter 1 cover broad details of the world. That's cool, excellent. But focus on the lands surrounding the city of Kalaman in the nation of Solamnia, the setting of the adventure presented in this book. Prominent details about the setting are covered in these sections, but the wider world is left for you to detail as you please. Shane says they're intrigued by the lunar sorcerer. Probably going to use it in different settings. So Kabuki Kid says Dragonlance was a huge hit. Yeah, and Forgotten Realms had a ton of supplements and box sets made for it. Yeah, in my opinion, I always felt Forgotten Realms is pretty standard fare. And there isn't, it's kind of your standard high fantasy role playing setting. I mean, then again, a lot of it was the first that ever came out. So kind of set the tone. So we've got running the adventure. We've got an adventure flowchart. So it looks like we have 6 major chapters devoted to the adventure. Once again, I'm skipping pages here. So it looks like this first chapter, which is actually chapter 2 in the book, is going to have more setting information as well as kind of setting the stage for the adventure in general. Nice map of the city there. Kabuki Kid's pointing out that Forgotten Realms is what replaced Greyhawk. Yes, I did know that. Of course, when you send Gary Gygax packing, you gotta come up with something else. Omanal is with us in chat. Good to see you, Omanal. It's been a while. Okay, so just kind of jumping on through. Uh-oh, there's a heckler. Your character's going to have to deal with a heckler. We get a festival. Catching fish. And it looks like we get a battle. So it says Battlefield Encounters. The Battle of High Hill section presents the first of several battlefield encounters in this adventure. These are events that take place on active battlefields in a fictional setting, that is. During these scenes, the wider battle is abstracted, allowing the characters focus on specific tide-turning conflicts. At the edge of each mapped battlefield encounter and beyond, is a region called the Fray. The Fray is an interpretation of the dangers of combat, from clashing combatants to deadly spells. It is also the source of additional threats. Each battlefield encounter explains the Fray's effects and presents additional dangers that might occur at the end of each round of combat. A battlefield encounter ends when noted in the text. So, what I've found in my experience running role playing games of really any type, the best way to present, at least as a game master, a large scale battle is just crib from all those war movies you've seen over the years, all those science fiction battles you've seen over the years, and just kind of, recycle some of that. So, so Testy Trekkie says the Forgotten Realms campaign setting for 3E was the gold standard. Yeah, I'll be the first to point out I have zero knowledge of third edition. All right, so it looks like that was the second part. So we have Shadow of War. Once again, some pretty cool artwork here. Like one of our major NPCs. I'm getting the feeling just from just a little bit that I'm seeing here that the player characters are going to find themselves in command, or at least it seems this way. They're going to find themselves in command of larger and larger forces. So, probably by the finale, they'll be essentially the generals leading the fight. So here we have Lord Soth, which I'm sure rings the bell for many out there who are very familiar with Dragonlance, because I believe he was the big bad, wasn't he? Maybe I'm wrong. So it looks as if, just kind of flipping on through here, that things take a bad turn. So it looks like at one point the forces of good are on the ropes. At least that's kind of the impression I was getting from some of the material we're taking a peek at. One thing I will point out that I really do like about fifth edition is the maps. I really, really dig the map design, especially when you're coming from looking back at advanced Dungeons and Dragons maps. It's kind of like, oh, okay, that's yeah, that's it's functional, I guess. I'm also a big fan of the Dungeon Crawl Classics maps for the adventures with that kind of 3D style to them, which I should say, Ravenloft had quite a bit of as well. Tessie Trekkie, speaking of Ravenloft, pointing out that they thought 5e Ravenloft was good. I did too. I liked it. I gave it a positive review. Just taking a look through here. Once again, we're in the adventure portion of the hardcover, and I'm just skipping pages. I just want to give you a look at what we've got inside here and try to stay as remain as spoiler free as possible. Menu Maker is with us saying howdy from Argentina. Well, thank you. Welcome aboard. We got a decent amount of artwork throughout. I always point out that sometimes too much artwork, at least in my opinion, works against a role-playing game adventure. And I know a lot of people used to complain about earlier editions of D&D, just including what some folks like to refer to as fluff, which isn't always negative. I know some people out there think call something fluff that it's bad. Myself personally, I consider anything that's uh, not going to be utilized either mechanically or in the game itself to be fluff. But I don't mean anything derogatory by it. But as you can see, we've got a good amount of artwork, but it's not overwhelming the content. It's not as if half of the page space throughout the book is devoted to art. It looks like we're getting towards the point where we had the big climactic battle. That's cool. The Ace Dragonal Riders. Oh, I'm sorry. It is the Ace Dragonal Rider Red Ruin. Might be pretty interesting. Of course, a big point. There's Lord Soth. As Lord Soth glimpses his past betrayals in the mirror of reflected past. Dun, dun. There's a flying citadel. Oh, here's another battlefield map. Looks like. Ah, so I see we also have tie-ins with each of the scenarios from Warriors of Krynn, as we can see here. Huh. Okay. Now I'm kind of curious, how does the board game stand on its own? Oh, here we go. So this is the Kaganesti Forest Shroud, which is what one of the miniatures was wearing. Remember I said, oh, it looks like a rogue here. I was like, what is that, a bear pelt? That's what it was. That's what the mini had sculpted on. So here's our new gear and magic items. We've got a few. We have new friends and foes. So it's our bestiary section as well as major NPCs. Oh, there's Lord Soth himself. We've got sidekicks. So this appendix presents 6 sidekicks, special NPCs who can accompany the player characters on their adventures. They are appropriate for a first level adventuring party. I think this adventure takes you from first to sixth. We'll maybe take a peek once again. So here we've got each of the sidekicks as they level up. Oh, well, maybe not. It's showing level 11 for the sidekicks. So it might be first to 11th level. That's pretty wild. So there we have those. And we got some concept art. A couple of maps. And then we have a poster map, which I'm going to take a guess is actually, because it's showing right there, probably going to be one side is this. And the other side is this. That would be my guess. All right. So what does it say on the back here? Yeah, first to 11th level. So that's where it's going to take us. So that is a pretty long swath of levels there. So that is a first look at Dungeons and Dragons Dragonlance Shadow of the Dragon Queen. Earlier, if you popped in a little bit late, or if you've somehow skipped ahead after the stream has ended and you missed it, I did share how you can get in the running to win not only this copy, but I'll also be giving away the alternate art edition as well. So, two lucky viewers will have a shot at winning one of these. All right, I'm going to swing back over to the other camera here. So, pretty interesting. Pretty interesting. So, I'm actually going to probably start diving into this over the weekend and get a peek at that. So, of course, once again, we were taking a look at the Dungeons and Dragons Dragonlance Shadow of the Dragon Queen Deluxe Edition, which arrives on December 6th. Does carry an MSRP of $139.95. And that includes the deluxe edition of the book, a Dungeon Master screen, as well as the Warriors of Krynn board game. Just the adventure book alone is going to carry an MSRP of $49.95, same release date. And the Warriors of Krynn board game will be available separately in March of next year. Going to carry an MSRP of $79.95. Do want to point out that if you are looking to pre-order either deluxe edition or just the book, you can do so over at the Wizards of the Coast website. And if you do, you can also include the digital files from D&D Beyond, and you'll get access to Shadow Queen, I should say Shadow of the Dragon Queen. I knew I was going to mess it up at some point. You'll get the D&D Beyond files on November 22nd. So you get it in advance of everyone else. All righty. So I did want to mention, if you have never watched the stream before, let me grab some stuff because I had to kind of push it off to the side because this box was so large. But if you are not familiar with the Gaming Gang, I do a live stream Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday evenings. And we skew heavier towards role-playing games, but I also tackle board games as well. Of course, there's the gaminggang.com, which has been around for over a dozen years. But I did want to point out what's coming up next week, because there are some big releases I'm going to be taking a peek at. So on Monday's show, it is going to be Blade Runner nights. Yes, Blade Runner arrived. So we are going to not only take a look at the starter set, but we will also take a peek at the core rule book. And I also received the Game Master screen. So we're going to be taking a peek at that. As Stray Kismet says, woot, Blade Runner. Flaming Heron's like, Blade Runner? Don't tease us, Jeff. I didn't see Flaming Heron pop in. Sorry about that. I would have said hello. So on Tuesday, we're going to take a look at Regency Cthulhu from my friends over at Chaosium Inc. Yes, another big release that people are very curious about. And then I think there might be something else that's floating out there that's on its way. But I'm pretty sure on Wednesday's show, we'll be taking a look at the One Ring second edition, Ruins of the Lost Realm from Free League Publishing as well. So a couple of Free League Publishing releases, as well as a new Call of Cthulhu release. So a lot of cool new stuff that's on the horizon. All right, and don't forget, get into the running to be able to win a copy of Dragonlance, Shadow of the Dragon Queen. I've got 2 I'm giving away. All right, that is it for a special live Friday stream here at the Gaming Gang channel. So if you like this video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and if you do subscribe, ding that bell. It will not only let you know when the Dispatch streams live, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday evenings right here on YouTube at 7 p.m. Central. But it'll also notify you when I upload standalone videos or if suddenly I do a surprise live stream like this. And of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, a whole lot more. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. All right. If you took part in chat, you were watching live. Thank you very much, because I know this kind of popped out of nowhere. So thank you very much to a bunch of our regulars who stopped in to hang out. Big tip of the cap to you. Of course, I know there's plenty of people who tend to watch videos on the channel who never get an opportunity to watch live. Doesn't matter if you're watching live or on Memorex. I really do appreciate each and every one of you taking time out of your busy life to watch any of the videos here on the Gaming Gang channel. All right, everybody, enjoy your rest of your Friday night or Saturday morning or whatever time it is in your neck of the woods. I will be back Monday with the dispatch. And of course, here's hoping each and every one of you gets to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang.
Oh, hey, you're still here. That's okay. You don't have to leave just yet. In fact, why don't you subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel right here, or take a peek at the latest live stream, or even find out what YouTube recommends you check out from the channel. And of course, I'm Jeff McAleer. Thanks again for watching.